It is April 28, only a few hours after the railway attack from the last episode. That mission had cost us 5 aircraft, 3 pilots, and almost half of the people we had available for combat. We now had only 5 pilots fit for active duty, and even that number was slightly misleading. Randall Kilpatrick was available, but his F-80 had been damaged, so he did not have an aircraft he could actually fly. And the only immediate replacements were 3 inexperienced pilots who had been waiting there for emergency duty. Before making any decisions, I wanted to see exactly who we still had. Camille Padian had 3 aerial victories and 4 ground targets. Virgil Ebert had destroyed 4 ground targets. Randall Kilpatrick had 2 aerial victories and another 4 on the ground, which made him one of the best useful pilots still available. Louis Mann had 3 ground victories, while Dino Buckner and Zachary Speyer were both still alive after bailing out during the railway mission. And then I opened Luman Liberson's record. Luman had destroyed 18 ground targets. 18. At this point, he was not simply one of our better pilots, he was personally responsible for a small part of the ground war. That performance deserved recognition, so I awarded him the Bronze Oak Leaf Cluster, gave him permission to carry the squadron emblem on his aircraft and move him closer to the red flight, my flight. From now on, I wanted the squadron to have clearer structure. The pilots closest to Robert would be the people I trusted most. The further down the flight list we went, the less experienced the pilots would become. It was not a perfect system, but after the railway disaster, I needed to know exactly who I was sending into what. With the pilots organized, I moved over to our resources. There was no immediate way to replace everyone we had lost, but I spent the requests we had on more aircraft, pilots, fuel, ammunition, and ordnance. I also requested 5 new F-80s, although they will not arrive until May 3rd. Fortunately, another aircraft delivery was already expected later that day. All we had to do was wait. I advanced the time, and at 9:15 that morning, 6 new F-80s arrived. These revealed a small detail about career mode that I really liked. Deliveries do not simply appear when a new day begins. They arrive at a specific time during the day. The logistics system had excellent timing. Emotionally, it was slightly less helpful. Still, those aircraft gave us room to breathe. Kilpatrick and Ripley Sorns received replacement jets, and I moved the pilots who had spent time on emergency standby into active duty. They had been with us for a while now, so they were no longer complete rookies. The newest pilots will take their place further down the squadron, including the new standby positions. The unit looked healthier, but we were still 8 aircraft short of full strength. After receiving a few more supply, I advanced the campaign to May 1st. The first phase of countering the Chinese Spring Offensive had ended successfully. Phase 2 had ended unsuccessfully. The game still does not clearly explain how much influence our squadron has over these larger results. Maybe our missions affect them, maybe they follow the historical campaign. Maybe the 429th simply was not invited to the meeting. Whatever the reason, the front had moved closer to Seoul, and many of the available missions were now concentrated around the city. Our first mission of the day was an escort mission of B-29 superfortresses. After the disaster of the railway junction, I wanted something that could hurt the enemy without sending the squadron back into another low-level risky attack. And I felt like the B-29 escort was the right mission for this. So with that said, we went ahead and took on flight. Luckily for us, during this flight, the enemy never appeared. The flight was calmed, and that gave us a chance to simply enjoy the formation. The B-29s reached the target, opened their bomb bays, and dropped on their target. The spectacle, as usual, was incredible. A little bit of feedback to the IL-2 devs, make it even more spectacle, please. I love it, but I want more. After enjoying the show, we returned home. Robert landed without any problems, the mission ended successfully, and we earned 5 new supply request. That should have been enough for the day, but for Robert, it was not. We needed more victories. But what we also needed was for the newer pilots to gain experience. So before selecting Robert's next mission, we sent 6 pilots on an automated area patrol over Seoul. I decided to send Randall Kilpatrick on this mission because he was one of the people I trusted the most. He had already completed 13 combat flights, he had 2 aerial victories, 4 ground targets, and enough experience to lead the new pilots through what appeared to be a routine patrol. If anyone could handle this mission, Kilpatrick would. The patrol took off and reached the target area. Ripley Zorn came under enemy fire, Manuel Lopez was wounded, one F-80 was damaged, another one was destroyed. The mission was aborted, and Randall Kilpatrick was killed. 30 days in service, 13 combat flights, 6 recorded flight hours, 2 aerial victories, 4 ground targets destroyed. Gone during a patrol I had sent him. The first mission of the day had sent an entire formation of B-29s in enemy territory without losing anyone. The routine patrol killed one of our best pilots. I left Randall in the roster for the moment. It changed nothing mechanically, I simply was not ready to replace him yet. Robert wanted another mission, and so did I. The next mission we picked was a bomber interception. We wanted to inflict some damage. So I began assigning the flight, but the game gave me an unusual restriction. Maximum aircraft. 1 pilot sent alone to intercept enemy bombers. After what had just happened to Randall, there was no chance I was assigning that mission to somebody else. If career mode wanted 1 pilot, it was getting the commander. Robert took off alone and headed towards the interception area. I expected to find a formation of bombers. Instead, I found flak and 1 aircraft moving through the area by itself. I did not know whether it was a scout, a separated bomber, or the beginning of some kind of a trap. But it didn't matter. Robert was no longer particularly interested in the difference. As I pulled up, 2 parachutes appeared below me. For a moment, I had a perfect angle to continue the attack. I did not. Randall's death did not make these men Randall's killers. Robert flew past them and continued searching. A second burst of flak appeared in the distance, revealing another aircraft. I climbed above it, rolling to the attack. I came down with enough speed to close the distance quickly. The second aircraft caught fire and went down. Then another contact appeared near the horizon. This one required a little more work, but the results was the same. 3 aircraft had entered the area separately, none of them made it home. The interception ended with the 3 enemy aircraft destroyed and 7 supply requests earned. It was the response Robert had been looking for. It did not bring Randall back. With all 3 missions for May 1 complete, we needed to advance and continue moving forward. So we moved on to May 6. A new operation began, countering the Chongchong attack. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. 8 F-80s arrived, along with 3 new pilots. Several members of the squadron were nominated for awards, and Robert received the United Nations Service Medal. Before rebuilding the flights, I opened Randall's cockpit record one final time, then I deactivated his position. With the replacement aircraft assigned, the squadron now had 22 operational F-80s, 1 damaged aircraft, and 1 empty seat. For the moment, that final position remained Randall's. I also used this opportunity to recognize some of the other pilots. Camille received an Oak Leaf Cluster, Virgil Ebert and Louis Mann received air medals. Luman Liberson, still sitting on the 18-round victories, received the United Nations Service Medal. On paper, the squadron was recovering quickly. Experience was proven much harder to replace than aircrafts. The new pilots still needed combat time, so I organized another automated area patrol. This time, 2 veterans would accompany the 9 rookies. After what had happened to Randall, I watched the results screens with slightly less confidence than before. 1 F-80 returned damage, but this mission succeeded. More importantly, one of the rookies had destroyed an enemy aircraft. His name was Albert Stone. That victory earned him the final empty seat in the main formation. The seat had previously belonged to Randall Kilpatrick. Those were large shoes for a new pilot to fill, but Albert had already shown that he deserved the opportunity. Our next mission was another B-29 escort. It followed almost exactly the same pattern as the first. We joined the bombers, flew with them to the target, watched them release their bombs, and escort them home without any interference. Since nothing was trying to kill us, I used the opportunity to look at the B-29 models more closely. The aircraft look fantastic. The paneling, defensive positions, weathering, and overall scale are all very well done. The IL-2 Korea team has done an excellent job with it, especially when you're flying alongside with the formation and can really appreciate how large these aircraft really are. The bombers completed the attack, everyone returned safely, and we earned another 8 supply requests. Shortly afterwards, 3,000 gallons of fuel arrived, followed by ammunition and more personnel. For once, the logistics screen was delivering better news than the casualty screen. The bomber's escort had begun at 5:30 p.m., and when we returned, the list of available missions was much smaller. This suggests that the time of day affects which missions carrier mode allows us to select. One of the remaining options was another bomber interception. Once again, it only allowed 1 aircraft. Robert was not sending any other pilot alone, so he selected himself once again. We would be taking off at midnight. This was our first night operation. I hope the footage is easier for you to see than the mission was for me. After several minutes of searching, I finally noticed a small movement in the darkness. Had it not been thanks for the river different color shade, I probably would have missed him. So I went in after him. The first bomber was much closer than I realized. and it looked incredible, especially at night. This was my first time doing such a mission, so it was quite exciting. Also, the tracers looked amazing. And from my previous experience, this mission is 3 bombers, and this one is the first one, so there's 2 more. The mountains were too dark and every aircraft disappeared against the ground. So I thought to myself, maybe if I change the angle, maybe if I descend below the expected altitude of the bombers and began searching towards the horizon instead of looking down at the terrain, that would help. And yes, it did. The bomber caught fire and went down before it could reach the target. 2 destroyed, 1 remained. I searched between the mountains for several minutes, but the final aircraft had completely disappeared. Eventually, I started to believe it had escaped the interception area. Then the map updated. The bomber had been spotted again. It was already approaching Suwon. So I quickly made my way in that direction. I could not allow these bombers to drop its bombs. After such a strike of bad decisions, I cannot allow such a defeat today. Over the distance, I could see the lights of the city ahead, but I still could not see the enemy aircraft. Somewhere in the dark, it was preparing to attack, and I was running out of distance and time. Then, the worst happened. The ground lit up. The bomber had dropped its bombs. Their darkness had allowed it to reach the city. I failed the people. I failed whoever or whatever it was its target. It was something I was not gonna fail at. It was going to allow it to return home. So I continued searching until I finally found it ahead of me. This time I closed the distance until there was no chance of losing it again. Final aircraft caught fire and went down. We had failed to stop it from dropping its bomb, but both the primary and secondary objectives still registered as complete. The flight home gave us another first for the campaign, a full night landing. The runway lights looked excellent against the darkness. Robert landed safely and returned with another 3 aerial victories. The 429 had begun the episode with only 5 active pilots and barely enough aircraft to keep operating. It ended with 22 operational FATs, new personnel, fresh supplies, and almost a complete roster. But the recovery had come at a cost. Randall Kilpatrick was gone, and the decision that placed him on that patrol belonged to Robert. We advanced the campaign to May 10. The United Nations counteroffensive had ended successfully, and new reports had arrived from the front. We will examine those at the beginning of the next episode. The 429th was operational again. But it was not the same. Thank you so very much for watching and for all the support you've been giving this series. The comments and feedback have honestly been a huge reason why I have kept on going. So please let me know what you thought about this episode. What would you have done differently? And I have a little extra announcement to make. We might also be streaming on YouTube or Twitch or both. Some IL-2 Korea this weekend. There's going to be an event on a multiplayer server, and then I am also planning on streaming on release day on the 4th or the 5th of August. I'm still trying to figure out the time because that it doesn't mess with my work schedule, but I should post an update on the channel as soon as everything is confirmed. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next story. Thank you. Ciao.